Yo, what's going on guys, welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, we're going to be taking a look at 6 reworks that I think desperately need to happen inside of Brawl Stars. Some of them haven't been needed to be changed for such a long time. So before we jump into today's video, make sure you're using the creator code in the shop, that'd be greatly appreciated. And without further ado, let's jump into the video. Alright guys, so jumping into the first rework that I think desperately needs to happen inside of Brawl Stars, it's going to be the health gear. So the health gear, basically right now, there's only one brawler I'd say it's actually decent on, and it's Nanny with the shield star power. But other than that, it's just a really bad gear, especially in comparison to the speed, damage, and shield gears. It's just completely useless. So there's a couple of ideas that I've got. I'm sure you guys have got a ton of suggestions in the comment section, but I feel like the gear right now needs a huge rework. And also on Twitter, Frank did say that they were planning on making some changes, but they need like a big client change with the next update. I'll put it on the screen now so you can see that. But so it looks like they are planning to change probably the resistance and the health gears. So what I was thinking, either got to change it so whenever you're actually standing still, maybe like instantly, or maybe like a 0.5 second quicker, you actually start to recover health, because right now it takes like 1 second to stand still and then you start recovering health. I just feel like in Brawl Stars you're never really standing still. It's kind of against like what you're supposed to do in Brawl Stars. Like, you're always in the move. It's a really fast-paced game. There's hardly any instances where you're going to be standing still, and even so 200 health a second isn't really a lot. And even like the other gears are just going to be so much better value, because you're going to be getting value all the time. You're not having to stand still. So yeah, maybe the activation a lot quicker, maybe just instantly, like as soon as you stand still you start to heal. But also I came up with an interesting one just before I started recording, is that it could also be like the Griff star power. I never said the Griff star power is bad, but maybe if you get more percentage healing like passively, it could be pretty okay. So if you guys are aware of the Griff star power, it does heal like a percentage of the missing health that you have. It's a really bad star power, but maybe if you can increase the percentages, it might be an okay gear to have, at least somewhat viable in comparison to what health already is. So yeah, this is literally the only strategy you can have, like the health with a shield gear. For a lot of times you can be basically invincible. If they don't have a knockback mechanic, like there's no point even touching you, because you're not going to die with this health gear. But it's literally the only build that I recommend you using the health gear with. Maybe a few throwers can be benefited off the health gear, but still it's just not what you should be using, in my opinion. So the Carl is going to run towards us. I was trying to just use my health gear then, but he actually just runs into it and blocks my super. But I'll be interested to hear what you guys have for suggestions for the health gear, because I'm guessing they've either figured out what to change it to already, or they're probably looking for some inspiration. So I'm guessing devs probably actually do look at these type of videos to see what suggestions you can have. But unfortunately we nearly saved that, but that's going to be the first rework. Let's hop into the next one. Alright guys, so jumping into the second rework that I think should happen inside of Brawl Stars, it is going to be the resistance gear. So the resistance gear for a long time now has been completely useless, and it was only really built with one purpose in mind. It was for like power league, so it's supposed to be like a reaction gear. So basically well, you see like an enemy team going like a Buzz or a Crow or a Frank or something, and you go to resistance gear to counter it. But I just feel like it's still nowhere near good enough. So for me, I think it needs deleting from the game, or just completely reworking. So there's a few ideas I really like. So the first one is going to be the speed gear. Oh, not the speed gear, the super gear, I mean. So the super gear is going to help well, obviously help you get your super a lot quicker. I obviously don't want it to be too much, because else it can be really OP, especially for certain brawlers, only like a little bit. Obviously that's going to help some brawlers out more than others, but I feel like it's definitely going to be a better gear to have than resistance and health. So the next one being the range gear. Of course, this one could be quite broken as well if you buff the range a little bit too much, but it's a good idea at least. Of course, you've got like health and damage and shield, which do help a bunch of other brawlers. So I feel like a range gear could be really good as well. And also there's an ammo gear. So I don't know how they would actually do this one, but I feel like maybe helping brawlers get their ammo quicker could be a really nice gear to implement. Obviously you guys are going to have a ton more suggestions, so definitely put them in the comment section below. But that's going to be rework number 2. Let's hop into number 3. Alright guys, so jumping into rework number 3, it is going to be about Grom's main attack and his super attack. So guys, I'm probably fed up about talking about Grom and how OP he is, but I feel like the core problem does actually evolve, well, rely on his main attack and his super. So I feel like his main attack is a little bit broken. I don't know how they're actually going to fix this, to be honest, because it feels like it could be a huge issue. But I just feel like his main attack is just way too easy to hit. So you can just think of brawlers like Amber, for example. Like her mechanics, I just feel like are going to be broken forever, in the sense that you can just spam, well, hold auto aim, it's going to infinitely hit. But for like a brawler like Grom, like a thrower, it's going to be really toxic for him, well, his normal attack just basically be auto aimable, like not missing like all the time. Probably 90% of the time when you're up close, you're not going to be missing an attack. It's just so hard to actually counter a Grom because of this mechanic, and I feel like it's in need of some rework. So maybe there's some form of delay that they can introduce or something to actually nerf this, but I just feel like his main attack and his super just way too strong right now. Something needs to be changed in that core mechanic about him, and then we can go about talking about his numbers and whatever else. So that's going to be rework number 3. Let's hop into number 4. All right, guys, so now jumping on to rework number 4, we have Mr. P with his handle with care rework. So you probably heard me talk about this rework in a video beforehand, but I feel like this one definitely is in need of some form of action, right? So I feel like this one should actually be implemented in the game. It's really good idea in my opinion, especially considering the likes of Daryl and Mortis have had this kind of change beforehand. I feel like his handle with care star power should just be baseline. So just like, again, with the steel hoops got changed with Daryl, this star power should just be available to Mr. P all the time. So again, you've got to be careful with these reworks, because we've seen exactly with Mortis and Daryl that they can instantly lead to them becoming like the best brawler in the game. So maybe you need to nerf his other stats, but it's going to be a core mechanic change that is needed for Mr. P, in my opinion, to even make him somewhat balanced. Because let's just face it, Mr. P just really bad right now. Never really played literally at never ever in Power League or in competitive, and the only way I've actually seen him being used on probably in the past like 6 months is maps like Backyard Bowl, where the enemy's gone like 2 turret brawlers, for example. So like Leon and I don't know, like an 8-bit, for example, where you can actually get a little bit of value out of Mr. P because he can shoot beyond the walls. But other than that, never used at all. He's just really bad in this meta, and he's definitely in need of some form of rework. He's just completely trash, and especially considering that whenever Mr. P is buffed, he just seems to become one of the best brawlers in the game. So something is definitely wrong in his like core mechanics that they just can't seem to balance right enough. So yeah, I feel like that's definitely a change that needs to happen. So that's going to be rework number 4. Let's hop into rework number 5. All right, guys, so jumping into rework number 5, we have Brock with his main attack rework. So a lot of you guys kind of explained beforehand about the Brock, and I can't get why they changed him beforehand. So they changed his main attack. So basically it kind of replicated Piper a little bit too much. So they tried to change it so he can actually hit his shots a bit easier with his rocket. Is obviously his projectile is a bit larger, but I feel like still it needs to be changed back to his former self. I just don't like this mechanic. Like you saw how strong he was when it got changed. I just feel like we should go back to his normal self. But what they need to do, the main rework that they actually need to do, is his gadget. So the main reason why Brock can either be really strong or really bad is because of his gadget, right? His gadget is basically game breaking. The fact that you can just shoot his rocket and near enough not miss any time, you can destroy so much walls. I feel like this gadget probably is in need of a rework, or just a really big nerf for Brock to be somewhat balanced, because let's face it, Brock really has been in a tough space over the past like year or so. He's always like, as I said, OP or just trash, and that's just not how a brawler should really be going about the meta, in my opinion, especially considering Brock used to be such a skillful brawler to play. Ever since this gadget came into the game, you just seen him just switching around the meta, not being balanced as he once was. So yeah, this gadget, I really have not liked it. One of my least liked gadgets in the game, and it may not be OP right now, but again, just the core mechanic of it, being able just to shoot through a wall and just be able to break up so much of the map, and just being able to have free damage. And a lot of times the meta just actually revolves around his gadget, just being able to 1 or 2 shot people after you hit them with the green button. It's just in need of some kind of rework. So that's going to be rework number 5. Let's hop into number 6. All right, guys, so jumping into the 6th and final rework for me, it's going to be the Lu main attack. So Lu has not been meta for well, ever since his release. He's definitely in need of some love. So for me, I would actually rework his main attack. So his main attack is just really bad because it can be dodged quite easily. I know it can be high risk, high reward, but for the most part, it's just too easy to dodge, and I just don't like it. So for me, you can actually buff this in a few ways. You could actually, in one way, is by making it so you have 4 snow cones that you shoot instead of 3. I feel like this could make it so it's a lot easier to at least connect a few more shots. Well, obviously you probably have to nerf the damage, so that's not too OP. You could also remove the input delay. I feel like there's an input delay on Lu just a tad, so this definitely needs to be changed. And of course there's like a few other ways it can be buffed, but I feel like these are the main ways to like make it quite fair. Of course you don't want to make him too broken by any sort of reworks, but for me, he's in need of some love. One of the brawlers that I've never seen the top of the meta, so it would be nice. And also a rework that could actually be helpful if he ever becomes too meta. Like there's obviously that siege glitch where the robot gets stuck. Maybe that needs to be reworked as well, because I feel like a brawler should never be able to just make a boss be stuck, right? So maybe we can actually nerf his super in siege and then buff him in other categories, and then he might actually be one of those decent brawlers in the meta. So as you can tell, I'm a bit of a Lu main. Well, I used to always love playing Lu. One of my favorite brawlers to actually play, which is weird considering I'm asking for a rework, but he needs a little bit of love. It's definitely a brawler that's just sucked basically since his introduction in Brawl Stars, but he's really satisfying brawler to play, especially if you consistently land your shots and your cycling supers. He can be really devastating to the enemy, but just for so many metas in a row now, he's been one of the worst brawlers in a row. I'm not too sure why. Brawl Stars are kind of reluctant to even buff Lu. Other brawlers are just straight away meta. For example, like all of the brawlers that get introduced into the game, like straight away they're like one of the best brawlers in the game, whilst Lu has just never been anywhere near the top. So it's quite strange. I'm hoping it can actually buff him in some way, but let me know what you actually think of this change. I might just be talking absolute nonsense, but at least you guys can understand where I'm coming from. Just I want Lu to be somewhat usable. That's all I want really. So fortunately we're going to lose that final game, but yeah, that's going to be it for today's video. Let me know what you think of this video idea, whether you like this type of videos, and yeah, that's going to be it. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.